Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It's Mr. Beck here. We're on our road to 100,000 subscribers. I think we have two right now, so we got a long ways to go. But keep sharing with your friends, and I'm sure we will get there in due time. Today, we're going to be mixing some music. Sometimes in radio, they'd call these music beds. Music beds just kind of means music in between when the person is speaking. We can just call it music, doesn't really matter. So, if you've watched the previous videos, we should have a setup similar to this. I'm going to import my two songs. So I've already imported one, which will be revealed in a second, but I'm going to import the other. Shaggy, Mr. Bombastic was requested. I believe it was Jason that requested it. Great song. What a banger. Absolutely love it. And then Virtual Insanity by Jamiroquai, which I had not actually heard before. So I've already imported that one. We have Shaggy, Mr. Bombastic here. Let's make sure we label. So Shaggy, we'll put on the first track there, and then we'll put Virtual Insanity, because Lord knows I do not know how to spell Jamiroquai off the top of my head, on the second. So we'll drag Shaggy in. Right, we've imported our audio. The sampler rate, this is an MP3, it's going to convert it to a wave. No biggie. No biggie, it converts it. We're good to go. And then the Jamiroquai one, we're going to drag, let's drag the wave one, because we've already done this. Okay, perfect. So it's looking good so far. Maybe let's just do a little test, so listen to them solo. So the way I'm recording this, when I actually play the music, I'll try to turn it up and see if that makes a difference. But when I actually play the music, like the songs, you guys may have to turn up your volume, because for some reason when QuickTime records, the music's not nearly loud enough. Okay, so it's working. I already tested the other one. If I wanted to mix these two songs together, right? So if I wanted to play one song just right into the next song, that's what we mean by mixing. I'm not going to be doing like a crazy mashup or anything like that today. I'm just going to be doing, you wouldn't call it a mashup, more of a compilation. That's the word I'm looking for. So a compilation, right? This can be really useful if you're like trying to promo a band, or a lot of you are doing album reviews for your podcast. So if you maybe wanted to do a compilation of, a 1 minute compilation of the best songs from the album, then this could be really cool. So I'm going to arbitrarily pick, let's say of Bombastic, we'll go here. I'm going to delete all that, and I'm going to go from here and delete the rest of it. For Virtual Insanity, just for fun, let's take the beginning. Let's go back to multi-track and delete the rest. Okay, so we have like 20 seconds there of that song, and then we have about 20 seconds of that song. Wow, that just happened to work out. I didn't even plan that. So if we were to kind of mix these together, like play them one after another, it would sound something like this. RIP to headphone users, that is awful. Let's try, like, again. So the beats are completely off. It sounds like absolute garbage. There's too much of an overlap. There's lots of problems. Mixing them together is actually super easy. There's two things that you need to do when mixing them together. One is you need to be familiar with fading. So fading in and fading out will fade one track out and one track in. And then two, you need to be familiar with cutting. So just go to this time selection tool, select exactly what you want to cut, and boom. And that's pretty much it. Other than that, it's just kind of pattern recognition. And the one thing that I could stress, I wish I had like a notepad on the screen that I could write down, but the one thing I would stress is always go off what sounds good. People are going to tell you a bunch of different kind of rules for mixing songs and what decibels they should be at and stuff like that. But in general, just go off what sounds good. A lot of the time, like when you get really good at this and you want to mix a song together, the first thing you're going to look for is patterns that match when it comes to the waves of the songs, right? So as we probably know by now, or we should know by now, every time these kind of waves get really big, that's a louder noise in the song. These aren't too big, thankfully. Oh, perfect. That like gives us even better view. And what we want to do is kind of match and do the transition at one of the big waves that is of similar pattern. So ideally, if these were like the same song, they'd line up perfectly. So this is a big wave right here, but there's nothing really after it, right? If we zoom in, it's kind of like quiet after it. Whereas with virtual insanity here, we have big waves. I guess this one's a little quiet after it, but I like to mix on a really loud beat. So this is a really loud beat, and then big wave here, and then there's also some noise happening after, and this is a loud beat here in bombastic, and then there's also a lot of waves after. So I'm going to mix them on that. So I'm going to cut this down to kind of that wave, and I'm going to cut this down to that wave, and I'm going to try to line up the peaks of the waves, right? Think of this like two different mountains. We'll need to go to the move tool here to line them up. You can even use your time selector to kind of perfectly line them up. Perfect. Awesome. Oh, man. So we've kind of lined up the tops of the mountains. Oh, and we zoom in, right? If we zoom in, we realize, oh, they're actually not lined up. So, boom, we've lined up the peaks of the mountains. Now, already this is going to sound a lot better. Just listen. So they both kind of hit at the same time. It already sounds a little bit better. Now this is the part where you either shave the ends or play with fading them in and out to just make it sound good. This is the part where I can only teach you so much. You just have to go off your own basically perception of what you think sounds good. So I frankly think there's too much of Shaggy singing here. He's saying like boom. I don't really want that. It's kind of distracting. So I'm going to cut this down a little bit. And I'm also going to fade. There's two ways to fade. One, if you just want a straight fade, you just go to the top left corner, click this, and literally just go like that. And then this will be kind of more of an extreme fade. This will be a kind of just perfect fade at the same time. And the volume will be really low, and then at the end it will get really high. So the volume will be low and get really high at the start, and then kind of gradually. So, in general, you want a fade to kind of look like that. But this is like pretty much kind of an automatic fade. Still don't love how that sounds. Let's try it again. Okay. So I don't love how that sounds. I'm going to go with a more custom fade here. If you want to do a more custom fade, this yellow line is your volume line, and when you click on it, dots will come up. Every time, if you click exactly on it, you have to click exactly on it. If you click off it, it won't work. It has to be precisely on that yellow line, and then you can literally customize the volume like this. And you can have as many of these dots as you want. So you could make a line like that or way more complicated, and then this adjusts the volume. So there's still too much Shaggy there. I want him actually way lower. I don't even want to hear him at the start until we get to the peak. And I don't even want it to peak super high. So we hear a little less of Shaggy, just to really hear. Listen. So we still hear him too much. I don't like that. So I'm going to actually mute him almost all the way. And then, you know what? I'm going to put the whole track down a little bit too, because we're peaking. We're peaking at -6 now, which is not bad. If we look at the meter here at the bottom, I want us to peak between -9 and -6. So even more. Okay, it's a little bit better. We can turn down the whole track volume as well. That's going to help. Perfect. Okay, that looks pretty good for that one. Now we'll go look at Virtual Insanity. Okay, so I've lined them up to both peak at this point here. I'll use the red line to really show you guys. Oh my god. That really... We have a nasty peaking when we play it. Just watch. Ooh, way too much. So we're going to have to turn down this whole track first as well. That has nothing to do with fading, but it's just peaking in general. But yeah, we're top of the mountain, so it's a lot of noise. This is like way too much excess. I'm going to cut this whole thing down because I wanted to go from one song to the next song pretty quickly. And I want it to just kind of smack, hit that beat, clap, and then boom, transition right into bombastic. So we'll try just the kind of auto fade or whatever you want to call it, the less customized fade, and we'll see how that sounds. Oh, wow, that sounds a lot better. I like that a lot more. If you listen to that second beat on Virtual Insanity, literally when that second beat hits, it hits and it goes right into Mr. Bombastic. It sounds quite a bit better. Look at that. Right here. So already that's way smoother. I'm still hearing a little too much Shaggy. So I'm going to go like this. And boom. I think that's going to be good. Oh man, I love that. And then let's check our levels just to make sure. So we're listening. Okay, so levels, bottom of the screen here. We're peaking at like -9 to -6. -9 to -6 is what we want for music if there's no voice playing over it. If there was a voice playing over it, we'd want it way lower, like -12 or -15. Boom. Sweet. And then we got our start to a little compilation. Boom, that's it for this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you for the request from Jason, I think, requested Mr. Bombastic by Shaggy. And Danny, thank you for showing me the song Virtual Insanity by Jamiroquai. Maybe I'll become a Jamiroquai super fan. Who knows? Thanks so much. If any of that did not make sense, feel free to ask me questions in class. Okay, take care.